Hamlin, and Hamlin looked over like in the general direction of me and Dad, and he's like, "I gotta do some media, and I'll be right back in like an hour." We waited an hour. He never came back. My dad looks at me and goes, "That fucking asshole lied to us. Let's go home."
All right, what's good, everybody? Welcome back. It's been a couple weeks since the last episode. Again, it's your boy G4 Stemp, Dank NASCAR memes. So last episode we did was right before the Coke 600 and Indy 500 Memorial Day weekend. So let's just recap what has happened on that weekend and the following few weeks since. So Kyle Larson running the double, or rather the single, I guess, on Memorial Day weekend. We had Joseph Newgarden winning the Indy 500, Coke 600 being shortened by rain, and there are some circulating rumors that Fox had taken the executive decision to end the race because apparently they had better TV to put on at midnight, but Christopher Bell wins the Coca Cola 373.5, I think they called it. Following week, Austin Cindric wins at Gateway in dramatic fashion after Christopher Bell loses a cylinder. Ryan Blaney runs out of gas coming to the white, and Austin Cindric wins his way into the playoffs. Following that, the next couple weeks in Xfinity, Shane Van Gisbergen. All right, we got the name, SVG, Shane Van Gisbergen. So he's shown that you're gonna have to wreck him in order to beat him on a road course in Xfinity, because when you don't, he just kicks everybody's ass. He's the fastest car out there every time. Wins 2 weeks in a row. He wins at Portland. Following weekend, he wins at Sonoma in the Xfinity Series, all while doing a burnout in Austin Hill's face. So that was pretty fun to see Queso get absolutely destroyed by a Kiwi. Kyle Larson at Sonoma that weekend puts on a clinic, fastest car all day, and through a lot of confusing strategy, drives his way through the field, beats out Martin Truex Jr. and Chris Buescher for the win. Truex runs out of fuel coming to the line and finishes like 30th or something. Then this past weekend in Iowa, Ryan Blaney finally gets redemption for his tough loss at Gateway. Leads most career laps he's ever led on his way to a pretty dominant win at Iowa. Kyle Larson seemed to be the fastest car, but after that wreck with Daniel Suarez and Denny Hamlin earlier, where Suarez turned him, Hamlin got collected. He was done for the race, so Blaney just dominated the rest of the way since there was nobody really to contest with him. You had Byron and Elliott there at the end, but yeah, they couldn't catch him there. So yeah, that's basically a quick recap. We're gonna dive into that more as I will continue with that. For this episode, we have a bunch of very special guests with some of the guys from the Femboy Hooters Cup Series, or FHCS. And we're going to be talking about news in recent weeks and just overall thoughts of what we've been thinking about so far this season. So, just for background, for those of you who haven't followed or watched any of my Twitch streams and all that, FHCS, Femboy Hooters Cup Series, it was basically a NASCAR Heat 5 league I ran on Xbox, started in 2020 over COVID, ran it till 2022. We ran 4 seasons, had a lot of fun, and basically got to do a lot of funny shit we did in the Xbox parties and on the track. Basically, you ask, why name this league Femboy Hooters Cup Series? So, basically, that was like one of like the memes going around at the time. I wanted to make like a fun meme league, being like running a NASCAR meme page myself, but the league actually had some decent racing along with the jokes, and we had a lot of fun together. And yeah, it's a time I look back on with good memories. So, we had been discussing doing a Femboy Hooters Cup Series reunion for a while now. So we got a few of the boys to get on, and we're going to be discussing these races in more detail, along with some memories we've had from league racing together. So without further ado, let's head over to the Femboy Hooters Cup Series reunion. All right, so now we get to the actual interview part of the podcast. We got a couple of the guys from the Femboy Hooters Cup Series on here. Let's just go a little around the table and introduce ourselves. All right, we got, I believe, a two-time runner-up, DeMeo.
That would be right. Yes, two-time runner-up and like 10-time race winner, maybe something like that.
Yeah, I mean, I got all the records and shit somewhere, but
Okay.
um, yeah. Who else? We got No Riz on Xbox. Let's hear a little bit about your background. Who's your favorite driver?
Um, Alex Bowman, unfortunately. Um, I am a one-time Hooters winner, and I am also trying to like be on podcasts as my job in the future. So, woo
Oh,
me.
what like racing podcasts and stuff?
I mean, just like I want to have my own kind of thing, you know? It'd be cool.
Okay. If you need any drivers and stuff, I could try to connect you.
Appreciate it.
I mean, yeah. Okay. Cool. Um, we have, I believe, season three Pocono winner here. Was it season three or four?
Final season, whatever
Final
that
season,
was.
season four. All right, let's
Yeah,
hear it. Sean, I don't even know who your favorite driver is.
it's Logano.
Oh my God, fucking hell, man. Negative 1,000 aura right there.
That's a
Yeah.
shame.
All right, so yeah. Chen, and well, I guess Chen, you're just what can we say about you?
Ah,
Chen, you want to tell us what you just got back from?
ah, dropping my girlfriend off. Car was about to break down. Yeah, that's about it. That's about it.
And we have, I believe, three-time most popular driver, four-time. What was it?
Four, four times.
For all 4 seasons, this man won more most popular driver. He's a G. He's everybody's favorite. Races clean, super nice guy. Steven Palo, tell us about yourself.
Well, first and foremost, I speak two languages, English and Spanish, and my favorite driver is Daniel Suarez. So,
Daniel
um,
Suarez, fresh off a
yes,
fresh off citizenship today.
yes, sir, yes, sir.
Yeah.
Us amigos are happy for him.
Uh,
I
Steven, did you
think
like
that
where I mean where in Latin America did your family come from?
Um, Mexico City and Quito, Ecuador, half and half.
All right, cool.
So, yeah, feel honored to
Okay.
represent two flags, but both speak the same language.
Sick. Okay, so nice intro. Amazing from everybody. Not so let's get on to racing talk. Yeah, I feel like we all got our various opinions on what we want to say about that. So last episode, we concluded right before the Coke 600, predictions and stuff and everything that had gone on from the season beforehand. So Charlotte, um, we actually have what two people who were at the race. So let's hear about it.
actually three because Steven was there too.
Oh shit, you were?
Yeah,
Yes,
me,
I
Steven,
was.
and Norman were.
I posted about it. So, yeah, I was indeed there.
All right, so general impressions as a fan, how was the race?
Really good until the rain came. I mean, I didn't really I had a blast. Like first two stages were great. It was good racing. Nothing like stupid happened. And then we just get to the rain coming and then it just everything went to shit. Like it was just sitting there for an hour just waiting for them to dry the track. Just for them to call it right after was very, very disappointing.
I gotta agree. It was a pretty good race. I think just I was the most anticipated just to see Larson race. I mean, It
Yeah,
was just
for
gonna.
sure.
That's all I was looking forward to. Like the crowd would go crazy every time they would mention him. Like when he took the lead at Indy, I've never heard a stadium more loud. I will not lie.
Yeah. Yeah, me neither.
Um, the anticipation of him racing just to all be let down by rain was not fun.
The racing
Yep.
itself was really good, and just like they said, the rain kind of ruined the vibe and the atmosphere it was having because it was a sold out crowd and everybody was really anticipating Larson to compete in the race. And unfortunately, once he landed, that's when the rain came and we couldn't really get the finish that we felt we deserved. And well, time will tell if the Coke 600 will be able to sell out again next year. But one has their fingers crossed. But let's just hope that this year's experience doesn't dampen the vibe that was going for the 600 here in Charlotte.
All right, so just start off with a discussion question here. If this race went the full length, especially I wasn't even considering Kyle Larson getting back into the race. If this race went all 400 laps, all 600 miles, would Christopher Bell still have won the race?
No,
I don't think so.
I
that
believe
six car
so.
was so fast on the long run. I don't think he would have.
Reddick was too.
That Reddick was coming. He was coming quick. Pause. But the six, um, Ty Gibbs, William Byron, they were all really fast. And I
I
mean,
mean,
if Justin Allgaier is saying that the car is good, I'm pretty sure Larson would have been fine.
It would have
yeah,
I
been
when
mean,
you get to
entertaining.
that point and you get like even though like a 30 to go restart, it's anybody's to race in the top five. Like all of those guys had fire off speed. I mean, Bell probably had the best fire off speed in when the race got called, but I mean, anybody
But
could have won.
you could tell in the long run, Brad was just gaining so much. Like before that
Yeah,
caution come out, they were battling for the lead, or Brad was just right there. I don't remember off the top of my head, but honestly, I could have gone anyone to the top 10.
yeah, I mean, I feel like I remember hearing like, especially like on like DVC from like TJ Majors and stuff, and just like I didn't even realize it, but just like looking back at the race, you see like the six car like fall back to like 15th, 20th at the beginning of the run, and then you just see like once it breaks at like 40 laps, it just like starts like building up the ticker like slowly and slowly. So if like stage four went in like a green flag run, which I'm not sure what Larry Mack's trends are, but I'm not sure Brad Keselowski really had a chance. I think
It
like
would have been interesting.
I think it would have
yeah.
been between Bell and Byron really. Like Byron was so slept on that race, despite the fact that he led like I think second most laps.
It's really
Byron,
hard to say who should have won because there were 150 laps to go when I got called.
Yeah.
that
What was it? The
anyone could have just came out of nowhere. I mean, like Reddick was really starting to come on there at the end. He was really starting to. He finally got the track position he needed that he didn't get all night. He was really starting to haul ass.
uh, so about the rain, especially since half of us were there. Do you think the race should have gone back green after the rain let up? And so I guess second part of the question, who do you think made the decision to end it? Because there's been certain rumors circulating that it was not NASCAR who wanted to end that race.
Okay, so over the PA announcer, they said so it's going to be a quick rain shower, maybe like an hour rain shower. We will be racing tonight. They said that over the intercom.
Hmm.
Um, Marcus Smith definitely doesn't want that race to not like end. It's just because I mean it's the longest race of the year for one, and it's a crown jewel race. You don't want a crown jewel race to get called off for rain. I think the track was ready enough. I think about 20 more minutes of drawing, they definitely could have gone racing. But it's also the longest race. I mean, there were still 150 laps to go. You know how people get in the fourth stage. I mean, I
I
didn't like
think
the call, but that's
Fox.
just me.
I think Fox was what had
I
its
think
say
I
in
also think
everything.
Fox.
Absolutely.
I mean, it just kind of also shows that like they're putting every IndyCar race on the main channel and not FS1.
Mhm.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, there's not IndyCar races like every week like there is NASCAR, but I feel like Fox is gonna like kind of like ruin IndyCar, I guess. Just like the NBC production booth and like just the announcers they have there, like Lee Diffie, Townsend Bell, like they're amazing. I love the IndyCar broadcast.
I
I don't
felt
see.
better coming out of practice on Friday from the NBC broadcast than I did from any Fox broadcast the entire season.
Oh my God,
I
dude,
mean, yeah,
it's night and day.
When Bell wrecked, we got a replay immediately. If that was Fox, we would have gotten it maybe after practice.
Not
Yeah,
only did we
fair.
get a replay, but we got multiple replays for every incident throughout the
We got
night.
multiple replays with multiple camera angles. We did not get that for Fox.
They
Like
also
obviously,
Like
I
present
love
more
Nitro.
information.
Yeah,
prime example is when at the end of Sonoma race when Elliott moved Chastain for fourth. We didn't know that Chastain got moved for fourth until 2 hours after the race when NASCAR posted it on their social media.
we also didn't
Like,
know how he wrecked Kyle Busch
yeah,
until
that
after the
too.
race.
Yeah, fair. Because like they didn't do like anything post race. They're just like Martin. Wait, who won the race? Oh yeah, Kyle Larson. Why did I
Larson.
say
Larson.
Truex? They're like Kyle Larson wins Sonoma. Let's go watch the freaking New Jersey Renegades.
No, that's another thing. You
Yeah.
talk about Martin. They were more focused on Martin Truex getting to the finish line than they were with Kyle Busch being like murdered and Ross being murdered.
Yeah. Like camera work has just been one of the most atrocious things for Fox.
They just don't take the
Um,
race seriously sometimes. I don't feel like that broadcast is like as professional as others. Like I feel like Kevin Harvick and Clint Boyer especially spend the whole race just laughing and giggling at each other. And it doesn't feel like a motor race. It kind of just feels like a just a comedy at times, but it's a sad comedy because they're not saying anything funny that would make you laugh. They're just talking to each other and making themselves laugh the whole time. And you're just sitting there wondering, okay, well, where's my favorite driver? Oh, wait, he's 30th a lap down because they didn't show what happened to him.
Man,
Yeah.
he got yeeted into the wall.
Yeah, yeah,
So,
no. And that, God, it just didn't feel serious. Like when I was watching NBC, and I don't want to like compare the Indy 500 to like a regular Fox broadcast, but I'll compare the Indy 500 to the Daytona 500. The Indy 500 felt like it was the greatest spectacle in racing. Not only because it is, but that's how they presented it. They didn't present the Daytona 500 like it was the great American race. They just presented it as if it was just another plate race. And they were more focused on zooming in on the crowd, going to commercial every 5 seconds. You missed multiple passes for the lead. They didn't show replays, or at least when they did show replays, they showed one angle and that was it. It just didn't feel like up to what the Daytona 500 should be. It's the biggest race NASCAR has. It should get the most attention, and yet it just feels like any other ordinary race, unlike
I
the Indy
just
500.
I don't know what happened from 2015 to like now because you're supposed to make advancements in technology and advancements in your broadcasting as time goes on, but they took a step backward somehow.
I think I know why though. It's because it's all the same people. Like the director for Fox, the head of it all, has been the same guy since 2006. He's old. I honestly believe that as they're getting older, they're just a bit slower with adapting. And maybe they
Yeah,
need
but
to
that's
bring
the
in
same
new
guy that
people.
does like the Super Bowl and stuff. I mean, you don't see any complaints with their football broadcast usually. It's
I mean,
completely fine.
football is also the biggest sport in America. So
I
yeah,
Yeah.
know, but it would be more keen to like not more keen, more
on a
open to
bigger stage
criticism
at
because more
that
people
point. Yeah,
watch it.
I think also that it plays into that is like, we Darrell Waltrip left, Jeff Gordon left. Jeff Gordon wasn't a great commentator, but he brought I mean, it's Jeff Gordon. It's
He was
arguably the
solid.
greatest driver of all time. I mean, the driver, everyone retiring, Junior, Tony, Gordon, Jimmy, that didn't help. I mean, these are the
Yeah.
guys that we all looked up to as kids that we wanted to be, and they're not racing anymore.
Yeah, I feel like that's like why you gotta like get such like big names like in broadcasting and stuff. I mean, NBC currently does not have that right now. They don't have the Dale Jr. I think they're getting Jimmy Johnson next year, but like I mean
They're getting
Fox,
Jimmy Johnson this year.
Fox as soon as Jeff Gordon left, they got Kevin Harvick instead. Like you need to have like a like certified Hall of Famer like in the broadcast booth.
They have two of them, and Steve Letarte and Jeff Burton.
Well, I mean, here's the thing. Jeff Burton isn't, I mean, Dale Jr. is a
They don't scream
worldwide name.
superstar like Dale Jr. and Jeff
Oh, of course
Gordon.
not. You're never going to replace him.
I mean,
Yeah.
Dale Jr. is still the most popular person in our sport. Like, I
Yeah.
mean,
Yeah.
anyone would do anything for him at this point. And having him on the NBC broadcast, he was a really good commentator. Like, he genuinely, his first race, he made an iconic line.
Yeah, and the slide job. I mean, like I mentioned this in like the last podcast episode that like Amazon has been spending a shit ton of money to get like the best of the best. Like they got Al Michaels for their Thursday night football broadcast. They're spending money to get Joe Jr. on their NASCAR broadcast. So I'm really hoping that like Junior can like, help guide them there and like get it off at the good. Because I know a lot of people are mad that they're switching to Amazon Prime right now just because it's a subscription service and not national television.
I know
Well, he's also
Junior
been
said
doing
on
the
it.
TNT races.
Yeah, he's doing 5 TNT and 5 Amazon. I know he was talking to people at Amazon. They are really working. Like they're watching old broadcast races to like know what to do. Dale's helping everyone there. Like they are taking this very seriously.
Good, good. All right. So let's moving on to the next storyline coming out of Charlotte. Kyle Larson's playoff waiver. Let's just go with everybody. Starting off with Steven. Do you think he should have gotten one or not? Okay. Steven. Cool. All right. DeMeo then. What are your thoughts on if Kyle Larson should or shouldn't have gotten a playoff waiver?
I think he absolutely deserved it. I mean, I think everybody can agree he made a more than a valiant effort to make both the Indy 500 and Coke 600. Unfortunately, circumstances outside of his control got in the way of that. So I think NASCAR shouldn't have even taken as long as they did to give him the waiver. I'm not sure why they waited so long, but in my eyes, he fully deserved it. And it was the right call to give him it.
All right, Normie.
Yeah, I'm on the same train as DeMeo here. I 100% think he deserved it. I kind of understand why they took a little bit longer just because like there's so many details to work through as to like there's like a bunch of stuff going on behind the scenes that you need to make sure people can't just skip races and then just ask for a waiver and then declare like favoritism if they don't get it because Larson did. I feel like that's kind of why it took a little bit longer than it should have, but yeah, he
Mm-hmm.
100% deserved the waiver. He was on a helicopter at the track when the rain stopped. If they go back racing for even a lap, he's in there, he's in the car. Um, but yeah, that's my thoughts.
All right. Yeah, let's hear it from Chen. What are your thoughts?
He absolutely deserved one. I mean, Chase only got 2 in the same year. I mean, missing an injury. We all know why the waiver was invented. It was to prevent, from that happening. And then, I mean, the suspension. I mean, Larson made an effort. It's not his fault that he got screwed from rain in Indy and then Charlotte. I think NASCAR held off so long to make a point that they didn't like that, which I don't get because they marketed the ever loving hell out of this. And it
Yeah.
made, I mean, they said at Indy, they've never seen that type of like, I don't know what to, aura around a driver. Like they said, there was so many people around Larson's car that they've never seen that before.
So
I
much
mean,
aura.
Kyle Larson,
So much aura.
so much in like there was. Yeah, people really thought he could win. I mean, if he did not speed, he was going to finish top 5.
Really, you think so? I don't think he would have finished top 5, but like
I think
probably
it would have been top
probably
10
latter half of the top
regardless.
10, but not top 5.
I mean, it's Kyle Larson. If anyone in NASCAR is going to go out into Indy and arguably win, it's going to be him.
All right.
But I
Sean,
mean, yeah.
what are you thinking? Same thing?
Yeah, I think we're all on the same train. I think 100% Larson deserved that waiver. He earned that waiver, in my opinion, because he's grown the sport a ton over just the last year and a half with all the other racing he does outside of the Cup Series. He's drawing in dirt fans and now even IndyCar fans to watch NASCAR races they normally wouldn't be watching. But I think we all discussed he deserved the waiver. So instead of explaining why I think he deserved the waiver, I'm going to say why I think NASCAR took their time. And I think it's because NASCAR realized that they don't want to be looked upon as like an equal to like IndyCar. They want to look like top dog. They don't want Kyle Larson to go and venture out and do other things and then come home to open arms instantly.
Yeah.
They want to lay down the law and say, hey, you do realize that this is your main series. I don't care if that's the greatest spectacle in racing. You still dedicate your entire life to NASCAR, and that is what we market you for. So, in my opinion, and I think it's stupid, Elton Sawyer's explanation as to why they took so long, it was just a bunch of garbage. They took so long because they wanted to lay down the law, in my opinion. And I think I don't want to put words in anyone else's mouth, but I saw someone on Instagram that writes for The Athletic. It's the same group that Jeff Gluck works for. They said something similar, and they said that NASCAR was probably like they just wanted to look stern, and that's why they took so long. It wasn't incompetence. It was planned. They knew they were going to take their time on that decision.
Fair enough. I mean, to be fair, at the beginning, I was very anti-Larson getting a playoff waiver. Like, at the beginning. So, basically, what my thought was, I thought the Indy 500 was going to go long enough and he wouldn't be able to make the Coke 600, period. I didn't think he was going to make it at all, to be fair, and he didn't. But seeing him actually make the effort, originally, like, on the day, I'm like, okay, he is a full-time NASCAR driver. He gets paid to drive in NASCAR full-time. IndyCar is a one-time stunt. And he chooses IndyCar over his full-time job. And I'm like, okay, he made a choice not to do it. So I wasn't very keen on it, but seeing him actually make an effort to get back there in time, and especially the fact that like NASCAR and just in general, it would be a very bad PR for NASCAR if they wouldn't give it to him. I mean, it's bad PR either way, but it would be worse because look, you're marketing the hell out of Kyle Larson doing the double, Kyle Larson doing the double, all this special paint scheme, all these merchandise, t-shirts, all these interviews and stuff, and just having him saying, "Oh, you're not allowed to do IndyCar," that would send a bad message to drivers not wanting to do it again. Like you hear rumors about Scott McLaughlin wanting to do the double next year, or Scott and Ryan Blaney wanting to do it, and like each one would switch off. So it'd be a turnoff to other drivers in the future for doing it. And also, if you don't grant Larson a playoff waiver, congratulations. You have one of, if not the best driver in your sport out of contention for your championship when he's winning. He's already got 3 wins. So, yeah, just not a good idea. I mean, my personal opinion on why it took so long, I mean, they had to find a way to let him get a playoff waiver without like opening up all the loopholes like setting a bad precedent for future cases. I mean, look, if you look at their
they
statement,
didn't want that.
To be fair, I think they already did that when they suspended Elliott for intentionally wrecking Hamlin.
Yeah,
Because
but they
in the
didn't
rule book-
wait like a week.
Well, yeah,
Yeah.
because I mean, you know why they didn't wait.
I
Let's
mean,
be fair.
yeah, I mean,
There's a reason
he
why they
right
didn't
hooked.
wait. They didn't wait
But-
because it's Chase Elliott. I don't want to be that guy and say Elliott gets special privileges. I don't think he does, but I'm just saying they didn't wait because they knew why wait. He's the most popular driver. You saw the viewership. Fox talked about it last year. It went down when Elliott was injured. The races had an average of like 300 to 400,000 less viewers because of Elliott's, injury. He just wasn't in the race. And I know friends that said they stopped watching the races because Elliott wasn't a part of them. So I'm shocked they didn't think the same way about Larson, but I guess that's just the impact Elliott has over other drivers. Like his fan base is double the size of the next one.
I
I
mean,
don't think it has to do anything with the fan base. I
their
mean,
fan bases are really close at this point.
I
Yeah.
genuinely believe when they announced that he was getting a waiver instantly, not only after his injury, but after he right hooked Hamlin, that's solely because of the fan base, in my opinion.
Well,
Yeah,
you
but-
got to also think, I mean, these are two different situations. One's right hooking someone,
100%.
and one's trying to run the Indy 500.
The reason why I give Larson the benefit of the doubt is because, and Stemp said this, they literally advertised it. Like I couldn't go a day without seeing a post by NASCAR that was in collaboration with IndyCar, whether it was a tweet or an Instagram post or hell, even a Facebook ad. And not only that, but if NASCAR stood their ground and treated the Indy 500 as a separate event, quote unquote, separate event or stunt, like Stemp said, if they like actually truly believed the Indy 500 was a separate event slash stunt, they wouldn't have been marketing it and advertising it the way they were. They were marketing it and advertising it like it was the Indy 500 because it was the Indy 500. It's the biggest race in all of motor racing. They don't call it the greatest spectacle in racing for nothing. So that's why it's different. That's why it's so different. Now, if he was skipping to race the Grand Prix at Long Beach, then I don't think Larson's getting a waiver. But this is the Indy 500. There's no greater race than this. And that's why ultimately they came to the conclusion, we'll wait a little bit to lay down the law, but we're going to have to give him the waiver at the end.
Yeah, I mean, the greatest drivers in motorsports will complete the double. Tony Stewart, Kurt Busch, AJ Foyt, Mario Andretti. I mean,
Dave Blaney. Wait, did he do it? Yeah.
You have to keep in mind, though, too, that, like, going back to Larson, like, making the choice to skip the beginning of the 600, it wasn't just his choice. You had Hendrick investing over $1 million for him to run that race.
I think they said exactly they invested $2 million.
Yeah, $2 million. You're not just gonna let Tony Kanaan hop in the car and go back to Charlotte, just leaving all that on the table after months and months of preparation, months and months of hype. $2 million invested. You're not just gonna leave that.
Yeah, I agree. The funny thing is, though, they said it was Larson's choice, and Larson even said in an interview it was 100% his choice. Tony Kanaan was on the pit box in his fire suit, ready to hop into the car, and they said they asked Larson ultimately what he'd like to do. A part of me wants to believe that, but a part of me, like you said, I just don't believe that. I believe that they said stay in Indy, do the double, come back to Charlotte. Justin's got your car covered, and he really did. Like if the rain doesn't come, or at least let's say they get back to racing, Larson's getting back in that car and getting a top 15.
Mm-hmm.
Like
I think exactly. Justin was 13th at the time. Justin Allgaier, who I mean, he's been in the Xfinity Series besides the H Scott career. I mean, he was running 13th in his first next.
And that was his first ever time in a next gen car, wasn't it?
No,
yes, he did.
He did the Bristol Dirt race 2 years ago. Well, but that's Bristol Dirt. Yeah,
he did Bristol
Dirt. I think he did a
time in the next gen car on a
77s.
pavement.
He had no practice going in, no simulation time. I mean, props to him for that. I mean, you're hopping in the best car in the Cup Series. That is the best car in the Cup Series.
Yeah. Which did make it easier for him, but still, good job.
I do have a thing I kind of want to put out there, though. Do you guys think there's any chance that Larson wins most popular driver over Elliott this year?
I'm not gonna lie.
Not a chance.
Not a chance.
I think it's debatable. I'm hearing more cheers for him than I am Elliott at races.
I am too, and that's why I'm saying, like, I think there is a world where it happens. Especially if, like, he brings these guys over from IndyCar that haven't watched NASCAR. They're gonna go, oh, I saw that Larson guy in the Indy 500. I'm gonna root for him. Like, that's easy fans that he made right there. And I believe that he at least is the second most popular driver in the sport. And I feel like there is a world where he beats Elliott out for it.
That's the funny thing. I want to say, Normie, you're 100% right, because you should be. But look at this. In the 90s, we had Earnhardt versus Gordon. Who was winning most popular driver of the year?
Bill
Elliott. And that's because and I'm not going to say the real reason why I think he's going to win most popular driver, but I think DeMeo already knows. It's because of where he's from. It's 100% because of where he's from. I'd like you to sit down, go on NASCAR Classics, and rewatch the 2022 Quaker State 400 at Atlanta and tell me that all those people are just going to randomly stop voting for Kyle Larson. I tell you, they're going to probably vote for him, or not Kyle Larson, Chase Elliott. They're going to vote for him and then some, and they're going to make burner accounts to vote for him. Trust me. Elliott's fan base is not getting surmounted anytime soon. That's not a question. Kyle Busch will always be close. He'll always be a close second. And then Kyle Larson's got the international fan base going. But it's just not going to come close to Chase Elliott. Chase Elliott's going to easily win most popular driver of the year.
I think he'll win, but I think it's just like, at this point, it's worth a debate.
I think Larson will take second. I think Larson
The
will take
reason the
second from
reason
both.
I even bring it up is because every like I have a coworker that I went to Charlotte race with. It was his first NASCAR race ever, and I kind of like he just started watching the sport. His favorite driver is Kyle Larson. I feel like most new fans are immediately gravitating towards Kyle Larson and making him their guy. I just feel like every single new fan is just going that direction, and then they're like not rooting for Ilya. I just feel like that all of the new guys are going to vote for Larson.
Well, they better vote for him. I hope.
I
If
know.
they're going to root, they better vote, because if you really want to show your passion and commitment to the sport and to the driver you root for, you got to vote. I've been I've been voting
Yeah,
for
I didn't have to
Logano.
you got
worry
to go
about
all
that.
in.
Yeah, I've been voting
I
Logano
didn't really
most
have to
popular
worry about
driver.
that.
He ain't coming close.
All
I
right.
didn't really have to worry about that.
So, moving on to the next race, for Gateway. Um, you see, you got a lot of end of the race heroics, or not heroics, antics going on. You see Christopher Bell lose a cylinder, Ryan Blaney run out on the final lap. I mean, even if Blaney doesn't run out, still dominant day by Team Penske. I think it was a statement for them, right? I mean, do you think this is like what has really gotten them back in the conversation because they won this past week at Iowa as well?
Well,
I
I
think
mean, here's the thing. They are not performing good on the bigger tracks. Team Penske is performing insane on these 3/4 mile, under a mile tracks.
it's the
They are
flat track.
really fast.
It's
Yeah, they are
it's the
really.
flatter tracks. They were
Yeah.
great at Phoenix. They were and they weren't so good at Bristol, which has a little bit more banking and more speed. But then all of a sudden at Richmond, boom, Logano's up there challenging for the win. And then you go to North Wilkesboro. We all know what happened there. Logano leads 199 of 200 laps, and Blaney's right up there with him in the mix. And then they go to Gateway, and it's funny because I mean, I'd like to say I'm one of the biggest Team Penske fans I know. I'm in a couple group chats talking with people all the time about the setups and whatnot for the drivers. And heading to Iowa, they said we're just going to bring what we've been using at all the flat tracks this year. And they're it's funny. New Hampshire's this weekend. They're going to be
I
bringing
know.
what they brought to North Wilkesboro. They're going to be bringing what they brought to Iowa uh, as well.
Yeah, I'm
So it
very
is
high on Team
absolutely
Penske
no
this
shock.
weekend in New Hampshire. Very high on
Cindric
them.
got as high
They
as
were
the
my
top
pick.
12, and Penske were at one point in that race 1-2. I think Logano is still easily just a lot slower in terms of just overall pace. Like to go out there and win a race, even compared to Cindric. I mean, at least Cindric went up there and challenged Blaney at Gateway.
I mean, Cindric
But
was fast all day at Gateway. I mean, like,
yeah,
I get that they're fast, but I mean, Cindric running top five all day was not on my bingo card.
the
Yeah,
car's
that's
quick
why I
and
can't
he's
even
able to
call it
get
like a
that much
Mickey
out of it.
Mouse win or anything. Just because
I
like
know,
Not
but it
Mickey Mouse.
still doesn't change the fact that winning your end should not be a thing.
Oh no, 100%. As a Penske fan,
yeah,
I agree.
that's
Yeah,
actually
I
one of the
agree.
questions I want to bring up. Austin Cindric, average finish of 22nd, has finished on the lead lap less than 60% of the races this year, and has only two finishes better than 15th all season. Why does he deserve to be in the playoffs after one win?
He
He
doesn't.
doesn't.
It doesn't.
Yeah, I was gonna
So
say. I mean,
what is there to do about that rule though? I mean, like
Just take out winning
keep
your
it
end, and
short.
the system is completely fine.
well, hang on. I wouldn't say it's completely fine,
Well,
but
no, hold on. Sorry, it would be a lot better than it was just because you have all of the deserving guys in the playoffs, and then you can do the winning your end thing throughout the 3 rounds.
it's
I don't
funny
care
though
about
because
that.
they were so close to fixing this. I don't know if you guys remember this, but when Monster Energy announced that they were going to be the lead sponsor for the series in 2017, that was going to be the fourth year of the win in your end system. 2014 through 16, we already experienced it enough. And NASCAR made a statement saying that they were considering changing the way it worked because of instances like Almirola getting in 2014 because of a rain race, and Chris Buescher 29th in points getting in because of a rain race in 2016.
Yep.
So they were debating on changing it. And what they came up with was making it so that the only way you could lock yourself into the playoffs is two wins. Two wins locks you into the playoffs automatically. But for
Much more
some reason,
feasible.
NASCAR said that'd be too confusing. It wouldn't be marketable as win and you're in is just an instant,
I
just
get
put
that.
that out
That
there.
makes sense.
It's so the thing is though, at what point in NASCAR do they strive for marketability over legitimacy? Is marketability more Important?
I
I
feel
mean,
like you
considering
have
the
enough
financial
people wanting
situation they're in right now,
legitimacy.
yes.
I feel like you have enough people wanting legitimacy that you can feasibly change it back and not get much like out of it because people are still going to watch the races. And even if you just get rid of it for the regular season, you're still going to have the win and you're in and the big game 7 moment in the championship race. That's not going away.
So we've been in the win and you're in system for this is the 10th or 11th year.
Mm-hmm.
10th, yeah, yeah, yeah.
That's the
Has
11th
it
season.
really been that long?
Yeah,
Yeah, it
it
started
started
Holy
2014.
2014.
shit, I'm old.
I mean, there's been a lot of surprises. I mean, Chris Busch, sure. Austin Cindric, Dana Suarez won this. To me, Austin Cindric and Dana Suarez have 3 top 10s or 2 top 10s each around there, and they're both going to be in the playoffs this year. Right now, Kyle
Yep.
Busch, who's a 2-time champion, arguably the greatest driver of all time, and Joey Logano, who's also a 2-time champion, are both out of the playoffs right now. That's not right.
I mean,
I get they're
to be
both
fair,
having bad years, but
yeah, I
yeah.
mean, it's not like they should be in there or something. Like, Kyle Busch has been wrecking almost every week, and Joey Logano has just been shit. Sorry, Sean.
No, well,
Like,
they're 15th and
Yeah.
16th in points. This isn't like a 2022 situation where Truex, who finished fourth in the regular season, is getting knocked out of the playoffs. But the fact that
Yeah.
that's a possibility still needs to be rectified. The fact that we have, drivers like it doesn't even matter who it is. At the end of the day, if a driver's fourth in points, they shouldn't be getting knocked out of the playoffs.
I
So
mean,
they need to do something to fix this. This has been an issue for the longest time, but it's not like when I say it's been an issue for fans. For 90% of the fan base, it's really annoying knowing that driver is really good. They can make a deep playoff run. Oh, they're knocked out because 23rd and 25th in points have wins and they don't. So
Mhm.
the easy fix is to do what they wanted to do originally in 2017, and it's make it 2 wins in. But again, like I said, the whole reason why they declined that option was they
that's
picked
terrible marketing.
marketability. They picked marketability over legitimacy. And they didn't say over legitimacy, but trust me, I think everyone can understand and agree. The 2 wins in your M system would be way more legitimate than what we got right now.
oh yeah,
I just
absolutely.
I don't
In
think
my opinion, the 2011 format they had, the 12 drivers, that
I know
was my favorite.
the wild
The
card. I
wild,
love that
yes,
format.
that is in my opinion the best format we ever had. I get the winning
Yes.
you're in. We tried it a few years. I mean, but the fact that we're talking about Kyle Busch and Joey Logano missing the playoffs is not right. This is Kyle Busch. He
yeah.
has the most wins in NASCAR history.
My ideal thing would be like I think I first of all I think the playoff field is too big. And then
Yeah,
winning you're
agreed.
in is dumb because you're gonna get to the round of 16 and more than likely you're gonna have Cindric and Suarez be easy outs and
Well,
you're
here's
gonna
the thing,
get
though.
there.
That's not necessarily the case. You have
I know.
what Suarez won at, and he's really good on road courses. So is Cindric.
I
That's
mean,
actually
look
yeah.
what happened
You
in
make a fair
isn't
2022.
point.
like a
You
hot
make
take
a
that
fair
they can
point.
make the round of. They could easily make the round of 8. Both of them could, because you have Dega and the Roval in the next round as well. They could
But I
legitimately
mean,
make
and
the
I
round of
get the
8.
point of like you have to perform in the playoffs when it matters, but there comes a point where they shouldn't even be in, and here they are going to make it to the round of 8 over guys that have had a much better season, and it just doesn't make sense.
Like fucking Cindric almost made it to the round of 8 2 years ago. Oh, wasn't it? No, wait, Briscoe was
Chase
in the round of
Briscoe
8.
did make it to the round of 8.
Yeah.
Chase Briscoe was 5 laps
Cindric
away from making the
Cindric was
championship
one
four.
point away from the round
Yeah,
of 8. We almost had
No,
both Cindric
Daniel
and
Suarez was
Briscoe.
also one. I forgot what happened at the Roval in 22,
he
but
he
I think it
he
was
lost
a
power
was
mechanical
steering.
issue.
He lost power
he was
steering.
he was power steering. If that didn't happen, he was making the round of 8.
Yeah, he was. And you
And the
know
thing
who
about it
missed the round
was
of
that
8 because
wasn't
of
a
all that
fluke
bullshit?
either. I mean, he
Fucking
was
Kyle Larson, defending
Oh my
champion,
God,
got knocked
yeah.
down the round of 12
That was nuts. But
because Cole Custer checked up and let Chase Briscoe gain like four
But this
spots
is
on the
the
last
funny
lap.
thing. If NASCAR were listening to this podcast, all they hear is Stemp go, "Man, that was nuts." That's what they want.
Right?
And you know
Yes,
how
you're so
crazy
That's
right.
that
You're
is?
exactly
so
what
right.
they
The
want.
goodness,
They
the
want
defending
that Game
champion,
7
the
moment.
defending champion. Who would have thought 10 wins a year ago? He's out of the round of 12. The rookie Cindric wins the 500 and then automatically makes the second round over Kyle Busch, one of the greatest drivers in our sports history, and
Kevin Harvick.
one of the most
Yeah.
iconic names to ever grace our sport. Like, that's
I mean,
at the
the
end of the
biggest
day,
thing last
no
year
matter,
was Chase Elliott missing the playoffs.
well, yeah, no matter how
That's
much we
all
bitch,
everyone talked about.
no matter
My
how much
whole
we
thing
bitch, this
is
is what they want. It's drama, and you have to admit, at the end of the day, this format brings drama like no other.
of
I will. I
course.
mean, I'm more entertained now than I ever was. Like we had the most popular driver, the 2020 champ, missed the playoffs last year. That is, I mean, and that was the biggest. I mean, we had the Netflix show.
Well, I
Like
don't think that was
you
the
need the
format's
Chase
fault.
Elliott in that show.
He misses the playoffs under every format because he missed so many races. He just wasn't able to
Yes,
win.
but you also got to
Yeah.
remember they did not win. They could have won. They did not. Same goes with Alex Bowman.
Yeah.
What are y'all's thoughts on if we had a 3-race like just points thing for the championship 4?
Nope. If it's just points, can't be 3 races. It's got to be at least 5.
I'm sorry, but
At
it
least
just doesn't
5.
make
That's
sense. They want the Game 7 moment. You're not
Oh
going to
wait,
get a
just for
Game
the
I
7 moment
know,
championship
with 5
4?
but
races.
you could still have that if the
Yes.
points are
Oh, I thought you were
close.
saying for
That's a
like the entire
3-race.
field.
No, no,
Yeah,
no, no,
I
no.
don't think the championship 4 should be 1 race. It should be like 3 races on 3 different types of
That,
racetracks.
that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm getting at.
If it were based off the final 3 races and it were just all the 10 drivers, I'm pretty sure Bell would have won the 2021 title. So, but yeah,
Because if
yeah.
you have that, you could still get that Game 7 moment out of, oh, these two drivers are 3 points apart going into the last race of the season. Who's going to win? Or you can have every single driver like really close to each other, and you can have a 4-way championship battle be decided by like 10 points. And it would be really fucking cool.
Yeah, fair. All right. Anyways, now that we're past Gateway, let's move on to Sonoma. Does anybody have anything to talk about Sonoma?
The
Ross
repave was a good
Chastain.
idea.
Not much.
I
Yeah,
thought the
like
repave was really good.
was there tire
Agreed.
fall off?
Yeah. Kyle Larson drove from 7 seconds back in 20 laps to win the race.
Yeah, that's true. To be fair, he also
I
just
mean,
like did have like the fastest car.
But
I
still.
thought
Yeah.
no,
Well, to be fair, his name's Kyle
I think
Larson.
Reddick had the fastest car.
What?
No, Larson did. Larson did.
No, not a
R-
chance, bro.
They
Reddick
restarted
was
beside each other at the end of stage
yes,
2.
but you're also forgetting Reddick flat spot his tires when he came out of the pits
Skill
Yeah, that's
issue.
true.
Well,
That's true.
because he was
actually,
battling Larson and he overshot it.
I
Reddick was
know.
the best car that day.
you know
Fair.
what's funny? Stemp did ask, does anyone have anything to talk about? There was one thing weighing on my mind after Sonoma, and I don't know if you guys saw this. Mainly, I saw this because I'm a Logano fan. But we all saw what happened. He won the pole. He looked to be quick, and then Paul Wolf calls him in 9 laps into the race to pit, trying to flip the stage, and then he gets involved in an accident, and he's vanquished to the shadow realm. We don't see Logano for the rest of the day. He finishes a dismal 23rd or 21st. I can't remember. It doesn't make a difference. The question at hand for like most Penske fans and Logano fans, and I want to see what you guys have to say about this. Is it time Logano gets a crew chiefing change of some sort at Team Penske? Because it feels like Paul Wolf has been at the center of a lot of bad calls for Logano. And I'm not going to put all the blame on the crew chief because I don't think that's right. But we've seen like James Small cost Martin Truex Jr. valuable points week in and week out with bad calls. Paul Wolf has been doing the same, but hasn't been under as big of a microscope as James Small. Do you think there's going to be a crew chiefing change with Logano, or
They won a championship together less than 2 years ago.
Paul Wolf,
I
Paul Wolf,
And
mean,
has,
he
Paul
won
Wolf has
and
won
he won
2
a championship with
championships.
Brad because yeah, he won with Brad too.
and
Yeah, I
I
don't think
just
Paul
think
Wolf is a problem. Paul
but
Wolf
no, I don't
it's
single-handedly
either.
not
like
it's not
got
that
Joey
he's a
Logano top
problem.
fives
It's that
multiple times last season.
he might be on the way out though. Like you know how
Okay.
this
Yeah, I could see that.
yeah. It's not that he's going to get fired. I'm not saying fire Paul Wolf. He's bad. He's not. He's a two-time
No,
Cup
they don't.
champion. He's
Crew
one of the
chiefs
best crew
don't get
chiefs in the
fired
series.
anymore.
No, he's a good crew chief. I am not questioning that at all. I'm just saying, do you think maybe he himself might not feel like he's up to par and might step away? Because there have been rumors that there will be crew chiefing changes at Penske. You remember at the end of the 2019 season, Penske looked strong. They looked great. They're coming off a championship, like you guys said, 2 years ago. And then, boom, all the crew chiefs are switched. Todd Gordon leaves Logano and goes to Blaney. Paul Wolf leads Brad Keselowski, goes to Logano. Jeremy Bullins leaves Blaney, goes to Brad. You remember that in 2020, they switched all the crew chiefs.
Yeah.
Apparently,
Yeah, but they were like
blackballing
blackballing Brad at that point. I feel like.
Yeah.
So
That might
I don't
part of
know
it be the reason why Keselowski left Penske.
because they took his crew chief and they gave it to Logano.
Exactly.
Yeah, Paul Wolf and him were together for all these years, and then they just said, nope, swap them.
I would have been upset about that too. I mean, I'm literally giving you a championship for the first time in a long time, giving you wins left and right, making the championship.
Their
board,
only
you just switch my crew
championship.
chief.
No. They won with. Was Rusty Wallace at
No.
Penske for his championship?
Rusty's first year with Penske was 1990. His first championship was in the Kodak 7 Pontiac in 1989.
Yeah, Brad gave
Penske's
Penske their first championship.
Yes, that was their first ever title, and not only their first title in the Cup Series, Brad got them their first stock car title in 2010 when he won the Nationwide Championship. So no, yeah, 100%. Brad definitely got the shit end of that stick.
Yeah.
And that's why he left ultimately. But I'm just saying, like, I don't want to say like, oh, I'm talking to all these people that talk about Penske all the time, but it does look like Penske's in a spot. I mean, you've seen the photos of them in the team meetings. Harrison Burton's there. You see the crew chiefs all together. Apparently, from what I've heard, there might be a crew chief swap. And it's just funny because you're seeing a lot more pit road and crew chief mistakes for Penske this year. And I don't know if that's a culmination of them just being bad, because they have been bad, and you're under a bigger microscope when you're bad. Every mistake or function is just bigger than it needs to be sometimes. So yeah, that's the only reason why I brought that up. I just saw a lot of people after that race debating crew chiefs and saying James Small and Paul Wolf cost their drivers, two of them being champions, a lot of points. And one of those guys is below the cut line. Stuff like that can't be happening at the midway point of the regular season. So there was a lot of debate about that. That was the one thing after Sonoma I remember people talking about. Overall, the race was kind of Sonoma standards, that's what you're going to get. But yeah, Larson going through the field, that was pretty exciting to watch.
And the strategy calls at the end with Buescher and Truex, that was fun.
McDowell's comeback was good too. He finished second after wrecking. He went into the tire barrier.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Okay. So coming out of Sonoma, we got this past week's race at Iowa Speedway. All right. So, I mean, first of all, general thoughts of Iowa as a first race on the track.
Phenomenal.
Bring it back.
Phenomenal.
It was definitely a success.
Honestly, that might have been one of my favorite races of the season.
Yeah, agreed on. I think it was top 3 of the season. Top 3.
That's my second favorite race behind Kansas.
It does.
Kansas, I think Kansas is number 1.
In my opinion, I think Bristol's one.
I think Bristol's number 1.
I mean, I was also there, so I also got to see it in person, so it's a biased opinion. But in my opinion, Bristol, Kansas, Iowa, those are the 3 races this year.
Yeah, I'd say
that's fair.
I'd say put Bristol number 2 behind Kansas, but then, yeah.
I mean, it's hard to put, closest finish in NASCAR history. It's kind of hard to not argue that.
Exactly.
I think they should 100% bring Iowa back next year, and it should be a staple on the Cup schedule going forward.
Yeah, by the way, do you see the goddamn crowd there? Every single seat was filled.
Yeah, it was sold out. It was sold out at like 3 weeks after tickets went on sale.
No, Normie, it was sold out after 2 days.
Yeah,
2 days. Yeah, it was something crazy like that.
I think
it makes me upset because we could have had this for years. We could have had a race on the old asphalt, but they didn't realize how bad the
Montreal backing out was a huge blessing in disguise.
Yeah. Although I think this brings up like the conversation about like how a lot of tracks are or NASCAR in general with Ben Kennedy, they want to just switch for most tracks to just having one visit to the track and like no
That's
track having
it's
like two trips.
yeah,
I
and it's
think
a
it
No
great
depends
tracks
for
idea.
having two
some.
trips.
It depends on what track you're talking about.
Yeah,
Like
it depends on
obviously
the track.
Daytona needs two races. They sell out every time.
Yeah, like
I believe
Daytona,
Bristol still
Charlotte.
needs
I mean,
two.
They
Charlotte should have two on the oval.
Bristol, you're gonna have
Talladega
the day
needs two.
race.
Bristol
I
needs
mean,
But
two.
The Bristol night race is probably the most favorited race of the year.
Wait, you go there every year, so you're obviously a little
That's
biased
I
towards
go there
that.
every year. I mean, the hype there, and especially with Dale Jr. racing there, it's a different type of vibe.
Yeah,
Yeah,
for
it's
sure.
one of my bucket list races for sure.
I want to back Chan on this too. Being at the track gives you a whole different perspective on what the event is. So
That's
obviously,
why
talking about Bristol, it's always a banger race. Even if it's slightly boring, people are still going to show up and show out. The same could be said about the track that I've been to the most over the last couple of years, Pocono. They took a race off the schedule, and I think that was 100% for the better. Not only is the racing better just because there's one less race. If it's not that good, you don't have to stand it for two races. You only have to deal with one. But some people would pick one of the Pocono races to go to and then skip the other. Now everyone just
Yeah.
goes to the Pocono race and it's sold out every time.
and it
And
was
Yeah.
it's
the
a crowd.
campgrounds were packed out last year.
It's just great.
That is the
And
most
last
packed
year's
house
race
in
was
Pocono.
great. Last year's race was great.
You
it
had
shows
all
that
this
you
drama
can
with
take the
Denny
race off
Hamlin,
the
Larson,
schedule.
and Bowman, all of it. It set up
Yeah.
for
And
a
I
great race.
also saw like I'm sure you guys saw the stuff that got said on DVC about a bunch of like the playoffs getting shuffled around a decent amount. And like some tracks going in are like going to be really surprising.
Yeah, I
Um,
saw the clip of that today with Freddie Kraft.
I think there's a world where Pocono gets a playoff race. Am I crazy?
I don't see it.
I don't see it,
No.
but
Obviously
that would be
Darlington is
so
going back.
cool.
Obviously, we know
Weather's too
Darlington's going back in the
unpredictable at that
playoffs.
time of year.
The weather,
They've
yeah,
already
no, that's fair.
yeah. They've already said Atlanta's coming out. More than likely, Watkins Glen is coming out.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but they both
I don't see
should.
Watkins Glen staying.
I've heard Bristol. I don't think that's going to
No,
happen because they would be dumb
Martinsville's more
to
likely to
remove
come
the
out than
night.
Bristol, I think.
I mean, could you imagine if they put Bristol as the race before the championship?
Holy shit.
That would be fucking awesome.
Yeah. Although, thing is, keep in mind, they have to go with seasons. Everybody talks about like, oh, just move Phoenix to Kansas. You can't race in Kansas in the middle of fucking November. Just like
No.
you can't race that Bristol at the end of October. It's gonna be too cold.
September is the perfect time for the night race because it's like just starting to get into fall and it's starting to get cool and
Yeah, and
the
it's
weather's
nice and
perfect
cool at
there.
night. It's good weather.
Dude,
It's a lot
it's the
harder
best
to
time.
make a schedule than it looks. I mean, just ask Cole.
Yeah, for sure.
Fair.
But yeah,
Yeah.
they got it.
Sean,
They
Sean,
make
are you
sure.
going to Pocono this year?
Yes, I'm going to New Hampshire this year. I'm going to Pocono this year, and
Oh,
hopefully
sick.
Bristol next year.
All right, so yeah,
So
I'm working on getting a friend with me, and then I'm gonna book tickets to Pocono.
yeah, Pocono is like a party. It genuinely feels like I don't even know how to explain it. Maybe it's because Pocono was the first race I ever went to, so I'm incredibly biased. So take this with like a grain of salt. But I haven't been that hyped over an event since I was a kid, going to like carnivals and festivals. It's a whole weekend event, and even if the race doesn't go the way you want it to, just being there makes it so much better. So like you could hear people talking about how terrible Pocono was, and you're like, oh, I didn't even notice. I just had so much fun just being at the track and being with people.
That's
The
what
at
it's like
track
for me at
experience
Bristol.
in NASCAR, I
Yeah.
don't think any other sport compares. The at track atmosphere is just insane. I love it.
Football,
There's
That
nothing.
you don't
football,
get this in any others. I mean,
college
you get
football.
it all week. You get all weekend with this. You get one day of football. You get 2-3 days of racing.
But
Fair.
it's not just the days; it's the size of it all. Like you could walk for miles through campgrounds and tents and concessions and
Yeah,
people selling things
exactly.
and talking to people, and it's like, oh, you're from like the other side of the country. That's crazy, and Not only that, but they have show cars there. It's like the front of every track's like a museum.
You can literally meet the driver. You cannot do that in other sports.
Yeah, I went to
Yes.
Martinsville this year, and I had 20 minutes to walk around before the race started. I didn't have much time. I got to take a picture with Kyle Larson's championship-winning car from 2021. There's no other sport you could do that. There's like no other sport. Oh, I only have 20 minutes before the race starts. Let's take a picture with the championship-winning car from 3 years ago.
Track hack, Watkins Glen. I went in 2021. I was going with his friend that I'm trying to ask him to go with me to Pocono. He's just like, let's walk around. I hear like in NASCAR races you could do anything. I'm like, well, yeah, it's kind of true. He's like, here, let's just go through here. We go through this place. Nobody stops us, and we get right in front of the media center, and I get to take pictures like 15 different drivers. Like, you can't do that anywhere else.
The thing is at Bristol, there's one way in. You are going to see your driver right in front of you.
Yeah,
there's
true.
there's some people that aren't going to stop, like Chase, Larson, Denny doesn't usually stop. But after the race this year, me and my friend, we waited after the race. Denny Hamlin came by with the sword, everything, and he signed autographs for every person in line.
Sick. Yeah.
Me and my dad are talking about getting a camper for Bristol, Chan.
Oh, I'm just going to camp.
I mean, we're talking about like renting one and going in the infield.
You
Which I
can't.
think would
Can't go in the infield at Bristol. It's too small.
Sorry. I mean,
you can't. Yeah, I mean, the campground at Bristol, you wake up, the racetrack is right in front of you. Then they have all the tents and stuff. I mean, in my opinion, if you want to get stuff, you go to Bristol. If you want to meet your favorite driver, you go to Bristol. Because, I mean, I'm an Alex Bowman fan. I've met him the last 3 years there.
You're bound to meet someone if you go to a race.
You're going to
awesome.
you're going to get a pic with a driver. I got a picture with Kyle Larson this year. Kyle Larson never stops. He never stops to take pictures.
Austin Hill in Victory Lane last year at Pocono.
Oh, well, that's not really a flex.
Well, no, but the funny thing is the very next day I was expecting to do the same with Hamlin, and Hamlin looked over like in the general direction of me and Dad, and he's like, I gotta do some media and I'll be right back in like an hour. We waited an hour. He never came back. My dad looks at me and goes, that fucking asshole lied to us. Let's go home.
Ty Gibbs said that, but Ty Gibbs came back and signed all of our stuff because we were like, we love you, Ty.
Yeah, to be fair, Denny Hamlin has a lot of responsibilities though, so I kind of like I'm not.
No. I just thought it was funny. I thought it was funny though because his crew members did come back and throw hats to us, so it was like
sometimes
no harm done in my opinion. But I just think it's funny because the people in Pocono hate Denny Hamlin. The boos are loud. So that only affirmed their hatred for him just a little bit more. I thought that was funny.
Yeah. I feel like Denny Hamlin, of all people, I think he's legitimately the busiest driver in NASCAR.
I'd say
Kyle Larson.
Okay, Kyle Larson doesn't have anything outside of racing. Denny Hamlin literally owns a company full time.
Yes, like but you got to forget. He's
detailed his schedule on Actions Detrimental. The dude is like up from like 6 a.m. to like midnight, like every single day.
I think you're forgetting Kyle Larson races every day.
Yeah, fair. I mean,
that man does not stop driving a car.
I should give it to both of them. Plus, Larson does own his own
Keselowski
team.
too.
I mean, there's a lot of drivers that own their own team. I mean, Bowman has an own dirt team.
Okay, that's a dirt team versus a cup team.
Well, here's the thing: the dirt team does not partner with Michael Jordan.
Michael Jordan is just there for the money. He's there for the money.
No, he enjoys NASCAR.
He was in Victory Lane with Tyler Reddick's child. He was holding him. I think he's here for.
He loves them white babies.
He was more active as an owner than Tony Stewart was in the last 2 years.
I was gonna say
that's
way
not
more
really
active.
A flex.
Yeah. Jordan doesn't make any like managerial decisions. You know what I'm saying?
Like he wanted it that way, and more power to him. Like he has people that do that for him.
Exactly.
I mean,
he's got
here's the thing:
handling all that.
Michael Jordan coming to NASCAR is bigger than everyone thinks because they are helping people with the charter agreement more than people realize.
Oh, Curtis Polk, absolutely, like financial genius.
He is literally helping them. Like if they didn't come, I don't know where it would be. They are going to
Curtis
make
Polk
more
and
money
Steve
because of
Newmark
him.
from RFK are like literally the only ones saving this charter agreement.
They're the exactly.
Yeah. All right. So let's continue to talk about Iowa before we can wrap all this episode up. So just in terms of what's going on during the race, early on in the race, can we discuss what the fuck John Hunter Nemechek was doing with
That's
with
just
no
normal. That's
direction?
just honestly, it's just normal at this point. Move on,
Has there been
move
a
on.
race where he hasn't been involved in a crash of some sort?
Oh, there's
Dude,
got to
he's
be
just making enemies left and right this year. It's
at least
honestly
half of
just
them, I'd
sad.
say. I mean, I don't know the incident encounter. I mean, I'm not gonna look up Toby Christie right now, but he
Speaking
hasn't.
of which,
It's
Legacy Motor Club, holy fuck, they are
Oh my
Eric
God.
terrible.
Eric Jones
Yeah.
was 34th, like 100 laps into the
no.
race on
Eric Jones was
people.
dead
He
last
finished
for like
33rd.
But yeah, like he gained one spot throughout the whole race. It was terrible. Like Legacy is a whole new level of poverty this year.
they have just gotten worse since Jimmy Johnson came on board.
Well, probably because whenever Jimmy Johnson's driving the cars, he keeps on wrecking them and losing them like $300,000.
I don't think that's
I
the
mean, he
problem.
finished better than both his full-time guys at the 600. So
Like
Yeah. But I mean, the other
Jimmy ran a
races.
clean race at the 600. He didn't wreck anyone. He didn't hit anything. I mean, he's just running. I mean, Eric Jones is not running good. John Hunter
Yeah.
Nemechek was running good for a little bit, and now he's just not. They are just struggling.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. So another wreck that happened in the race. You see Daniel Suarez spin out Kyle Larson, collecting Denny Hamlin. I yelled at the TV, not only because I'm a Denny Hamlin fan, but because I would have won $65 if Larson won. So let's
then he didn't
discuss
even
that.
deserve to be up there anyway.
Who was at fault for the Larson wreck? Was it Larson's fault for like making it three wide and like forcing it three wide middle
It's
there, or was it on Daniel Suarez for losing it out of the
It's
corner while being
obviously
four
it's
wide?
it's
Hamlin's
it's a
fault, Stem.
racing incident.
Racing
Fuck off.
incident.
Here's the thing: Larson easily had the best car. There was no doubt in anyone's
Oh,
mind he was the
absolutely.
fastest car. He could have waited, but it's Kyle Larson. He's not going to wait. If he sees a move, he's going to take it. He took it. Daniel Suarez blamed the wreck on Brad Keselowski and Kyle Larson for crowding him.
Yeah, he wasn't exactly crowded. I think
He
what he
wasn't
said
crowding
was
him at all. Daniel Suarez
I think
got
what he
loose
said
on his
was he
own
didn't
because he's a
expect
dog
them to
shit
be
driver.
so low. Or that he thought he had more room.
Here's the
But to
thing:
be
there
fair,
was a car.
it
There was
wasn't
a
a thing about having
Bubba
more
was
room.
coming up right there.
Suarez was in the right lane, but then his car just wiggled and he got loose.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, was not a big fan of Suarez on Sunday.
I think
Yeah.
anyone is anymore. I mean, it honestly just sucks that he's not a good driver. He's gotten, I mean, there was so much hype for him after the 22 season because everyone's like, oh shit, he's finally about to break out and finally have a multi-win season. Doesn't make the playoffs. He wins Atlanta this year. If he doesn't win Atlanta, he's not making the playoffs because
If he doesn't
he's
win
dog
Atlanta this
shit.
year, I'm not even sure he has a ride next year.
Yeah.
Honestly, I mean, obviously,
Oh shit, we got 10
he's
minutes
probably
left.
going to have a ride because, I mean, Pitbull. He was their first
Yeah,
driver. I mean, but like the difference between Daniel Suarez and Ross Chastain is insane.
yeah.
Yeah. I
All right.
fuck, I forgot what I was gonna say. Oh yeah, none of that would have happened if it wasn't that for that bullshit caution for Hemrick.
That is true. That is true.
Yeah, fair. Speaking of
Y'all
stuff
heard
that
what
wouldn't
Adam
have
Stevens
happened,
said?
do you think Ryan Blaney or anybody else would have had a chance at winning that race if Kyle Larson didn't wreck?
Blaney would have. He was the only one that
It's
could run
tough
with
to
him the whole
say
day.
because if Blaney, I mean, the track cooled off a lot. That's how Blaney was able to take two tires and survive. Because I mean, the track cooled off so much.
Yeah. Like to be honest, when he called that two tires, I'm like, with all those tire issues people are talking
I
about.
didn't know if that was going to last, but I mean, I didn't realize how much the track was cooled off since the start. I mean,
Yeah.
all weekend. I mean, if it was a 20-minute practice instead of a 50, we're going to have another Bristol.
I don't know
Yeah.
about having another Bristol, but I think it's
I
because
mean,
teams actually mess with the tire pressures this time, and like once they put the tire pressures back to normal, they were able to survive. Bristol, it didn't matter what the hell they did; they were just blowing left and right.
yeah. I mean, that's also just because we had a 20-minute practice session and not a 50-minute like we had at Iowa. I think if we had
Yeah,
a 20-minute like we did at Bristol, we would have had the same thing that happened at Bristol.
Okay, so coming out of Iowa, you get playoffs are in what, 9 races? You see Kyle
I
Busch.
think
Kyle Busch is the standout. He's officially 31 points below the cut line after I think he like blew a rotor or something, or like something on one of his tires broke, I think. So 31 points below the cut line. I believe he is 17th in the point standings, 18th in the playoff standings. Wait, no, that doesn't sound right. Whatever it is. This is now his 6th finish of 25th or worse this season. Just stat I looked up before this. Can Kyle Busch make the playoffs on points, or does he need to win?
he needs to win.
I think he's
There's
been
no
too
way.
inconsistent. He's going to need a win.
There's no way. They're on a heavy slide right now, and they are not coming up. Every bad thing that can happen is happening to them right now. They get wrecked every week. Same thing that happened in Iowa. They cannot stop having these cautions or these things happening to them. Kyle Busch is not. I don't think RCR is showing the speed to win. I mean, Austin Dillon is Austin Dillon, but Kyle Busch is not winning. That is a problem for RCR.
I mean, I'm not sure if RCR has a winning car at the moment. That's my main concern.
And they're about to go buy a third charter, which makes no sense.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and then you look at the guys he's racing around for that last spot, Bubba, Logano, Briscoe. Like they've all been running a lot better than Bush has in recent weeks.
Yeah. Although to be fair, I think like I saw a post sometime today that he has like 4 good tracks out of like the 9 left. You know what? Hold on, let me pull up the NASCAR schedule on my phone right now. Okay, NASCAR app. Okay. Next races. New Hampshire Motor Speedway. Does Kyle Busch gain or lose on the cut line?
Lose. It's going to be a
Lose.
Ford. It's going to be a Ford and Toyota powerhouse.
Okay, cool. Nashville, next race. Does he gain or lose on the cut line?
It could go either way. I mean, I don't remember where he finished last year, but I know the Chevys were strong last year. So,
All right. Chicago. I think he gains personally on the cut line after Chicago.
Yeah, because Bubba sucks ass on road courses.
Well,
I
that's
was,
the
or I was
thing.
just gonna say that RCR and Kyle Busch have been very good on road courses in general.
But what if we get a new winner who's below the cut line?
I mean, we
It is
almost had one
Chicago.
last year because Justin Haley was 2 laps away from winning the
Like Justin
Chicago
Haley in the
Series.
51.
Yeah.
I don't want to be that guy and say Haley could be the spoiler, but I've seen crazier things. I mean, this
I mean, the
race a
only
year
guy who I
ago.
think could win on a road course that's below the cut line is McDowell.
And
Oh, for
he
sure.
hasn't shown the speed this year.
No, well,
I mean,
on the road courses, he has.
Todd Gillen is better.
Well, McDowell
Shout
just
out,
came off a
shout out
second
Todd
place.
But I
Gillen,
mean,
by the
the
way. He's
only
been
the
killing it.
the only road course they have left is Chicago, and that's kind of like more like a wild card to me than a road course. Of course, it's still a road course, but I feel like it's just going to be, Christopher Bell should have won the Chicago race last year. I just feel like the people that run up front on your typical track are going to be up there again.
All right. So after Chicago, you got Pocono. Kyle Busch, lose or gains?
Gains,
Okay. Indianapolis, lose or gain?
Lose.
lose, bro, wrecked in the test.
Okay. But he might have experience, so that could be one thing. All right, Richmond loses for sure.
Lose.
Yeah,
RCR
he's
short
losing
track
for
package.
sure.
RCR short tracks.
RCR short track program is one of the worst I've ever seen.
Michigan.
I'm gonna
What's the
say
He
gain.
consensus?
wrecked there
Actually,
last
no.
year.
Bubba is really good at Michigan.
That's true.
I'll
Yeah.
say gains. I think he'll have a good day.
Okay. Daytona.
Loses.
Who the fuck knows?
Lose. I mean, yeah.
And
I mean,
then
anyone can win.
Darlington.
I'm gonna say
Mm.
gain, but I mean, Kyle Busch is at Darlington. He's really good at Darlington.
I'm gonna say lose. His
Actually, no,
recent
he was
at
I'll say
Darlington.
lose. He wasn't good
His
this year,
recent
if I remember correctly.
Yeah,
At
where did he
Darlington.
finish
recency
this
at Darlington has been
Yeah,
bad.
Kyle Busch finished 27th at Darlington
I
in the spring
remember
race.
because he was awful. I was there. You could just tell the car was so tight he couldn't turn. It was terrible.
Okay. So now that we've discussed all these, there's 9 races left. The consensus of us have said that he's going to gain on the cut line in only 2 of them. I think he needs to win.
Yeah. I think he
I
does
just don't.
too.
I just don't see any type of way he makes the playoffs. They had just haven't shown anything.
I just
Yeah,
feel like
I think
the
Daytona's his best shot,
Fords.
honestly.
I think he makes it by the skin of his teeth, like barely on points.
All
I
right.
I
think the
feel like the
playoffs,
Fords
as
are
it
going
is
to
right
just
now.
continue to get better as the season goes on into the summer, and it's just gonna be too much for Russia to keep up with.
Yeah, fair enough. All right. Um, yeah,
I think everyone in the
that's
playoffs right now makes it. I mean, yeah. The only
Yeah,
one I can see in
I
is
agree.
maybe like Josh Berry winning a short track or
You
Joey
don't think
Logano
Logano
winning
can
this
pass
weekend.
Bubba?
no,
Here's the
Bubba.
thing,
Bubba might be out.
Bubba. I don't know though, because Bubba really shines in the second half of the season.
I'm praying
Bubba
Logano
might
wins
be
at
out,
New
and Ty
Hampshire.
Gibbs
That
might be
seems
out.
to.
Ty
They
Gibbs
got
has
New
been
Ty
on
Gibbs is
Hampshire.
decline
plus
lately.
70 though.
Here's the thing though, Ty Gibbs has not been running good.
Yeah,
I
he's
think
not been running good
since
recently.
he, I think two top tens in the last eight
Yeah, Josh
races.
will tell you.
He's still 70 points above the cut line though. That's hard to lose.
I think
Uh,
the guys that I think honestly, I think Alex Bowman wins a race. I
no.
Chris Buescher, I don't know. I think the guys on the bubble right now that can win are Truex, Ty Gibbs, and Alex Bowman. Those are the only ones I can see because they're in the best equipment.
Yeah, I don't know. Chastain might be in trouble too.
As
Chess,
bad as Logano's season has been, he always finds a way to squeak a win out, even in his worst seasons. And that's not just me saying that as a Logano fan. That's just some drivers will squeak wins out, whether you want to like it or not. So I could see it going 50-50. I could see Logano getting a win on one of these flat tracks that Penske seems to be really good at. I also could see him just running 20th every week and missing the playoffs entirely. I could see Briscoe getting a win, as crazy as that sounds. He seems to be the best driver, like just lap time wise, on the entire team, week in and week out. Sometimes Gregson will be quicker. Sometimes Barry will be quicker. Unfortunately, Priest can't say that. But I mean, you really, to be honest, you can see any of these guys winning, and that's the, I guess, the good and bad of this format. Because I mean, the next time you do your episode, Stemp, it's probably going to be a completely different look at the playoff grid. I mean, Kyle Busch could lose a ton
Yeah.
more. Logano could win.
Yeah.
It's all going to change. I guess Ty Gibbs running good at New Hampshire this week. So,
All right, well,
and
that's
Bowman's
just
been
gonna be some. That's just gonna be something we're gonna have to see. But we're running out of time here, so just wanted to thank you guys for coming on and talking about this at like 12:30 at night. So yeah, it was
Thanks
fun
for having us.
having a big group on here.
Thanks for having us, Tom.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, cool. And next we are going to head up to the betting section of the podcast. So stay tuned. All right, everybody, welcome to the betting segment of the Dank NASCAR download. Last time, I think we had a solid performance. We went plus money. We earned more than we put in. We went 2 for 6 on the bets. My most confident bet that I said we should lock in, Alexander Rossi top 5 at plus 110, hit that. And we hit on our first ever Stemp Matchup Parlay at the Coke 600 with Gibbs over Chastain, Truex over Blaney. And even though this leg got voided by DraftKings because Larson never raced, we probably would have got Denny Hamlin over Kyle Larson. So I still consider it a dub because the 11 car finished in front of the 5s, and we still won some money on it. So that's a win in my book. Just a recap of the last few weeks, some of the action on the sports books I got going on. Banked on a Bubba Wallace top 10 at Charlotte, which is where he ran all race until the rain delay and finished 11th, so not as much as I had hoped to, but still went positive. Sonoma, I hit Larson as an outright winner at plus 500, and then live bet more units on him at plus 150. And we also had my lock-in bet that week that I was most confident about was a Larson top 3 bet at plus 125, which obviously hit. And then we had a plus 300 matchup parlay. So really good week on the books in Sonoma. Yeah. Gateway, but forgot to mention Gateway. Gateway, I didn't bet anything on it because I really was not sure at the moment. I would have put something on Blaney, which obviously would have gone out, but didn't want to do anything that week. I was taking a break. As you all should, make sure to gamble healthily, not put too much on it, stay safe. Iowa, I wasn't too sure about it at the beginning, but there was one thing I was pretty confident in. I had a gut feeling just based on the tire test that Kyle Larson ran that he was going to be fast there. I had a good feeling. Put a lot of eggs in the basket early in the week. Usually you don't get Larson at very good odds, but he was plus 500 at that time in the week. And I'm like, Larson at plus 500, plus he's got the tire test experience. I like Kyle Larson. So put a lot of eggs in the basket early in the week when I had a feeling he was going to be fast, and obviously he was absolutely the fastest car when they got there. Before that wreck with Daniel Suarez, we were in position to be up $70, but unfortunately that crash resulted in a net loss for the weekend. But this weekend in New Hampshire, I feel like we're in for a good one this week. So without further ado, let's get to the New Hampshire bets. All right, so first one up on the list, we got a Bubba Wallace top 10 at the time of recording this. I'm just letting you know, I'm recording this as of Wednesday, so at this moment, the lines could change, and I expect them to change because there's some bets on here which I expect to shift very drastically since the books have given us way too good odds on these. This one is one of them. I think it should be probably lower. Bubba Wallace top 10 plus 180 on FanDuel is where I found it. I'd bet it down to probably plus 140. Bubba Wallace's two finishes at New Hampshire in the next-gen car are third. He finished third in 2022, and he finished 8th last year in 2023. 2311 Racing, and I mean Toyota in general. 2311 Racing has had both cars in the top 10 at New Hampshire in 2022 and 2023. Wallace and Busch finished top 10, and then Wallace and Reddick both finished top 10. So 2311 Racing at New Hampshire, good track record. Toyota in general has been good there in the next-gen era. Christopher Bell wins in 2022. Martin Truex wins in 2023. And last year, Toyota placed 4 cars in the top 10, which Toyota only had 6 cars in the field last year. The 4 from Joe Gibbs Racing and the 2 from 2311 Racing. So 4 out of their 6 were in the top 10, and that is after Christopher Bell, to a qualified pole, got stage points in both stages, but then hit the wall late in the race. That dropped him out of the top 10. But he was running in the top 10 at that time and was making his way there. So Toyota potentially could have had 5 cars. They had 4 out of their 6 cars finished in the top 10. So, yeah. I mean, you could even, in my opinion, the Reddick odds are probably not that good since he's finished top 10 so much this year. But I'd even go so far as parlaying both 2311 cars to finish top 10, just like 2 legs. So DraftKings should let you parlay it. They might not give you as good odds as some of the other books, but the parlay, if you want to parlay Tyler Reddick and Bubba Wallace in the top 10, I might consider doing it. Something that I'm also might consider doing, actually not might consider, this is, I usually don't like doing outright winners, and like if I do, I put only like a small amount of money on them. I'm very confident in an outright winner this week. Christopher Bell, outright winner. Most books I've seen him at plus 450 at the time of this recording. I'd honestly bet Christopher Bell down to considering practice and stuff, depending on how he does in practice, the line probably could get anywhere as low as 200, but I'd bet it down to, I'd say, 350. Just for an outright winner, to have him at 350, I mean, anything lower than that, I wouldn't take it, but he's at 450 at the moment. We're taking him with that. So Christopher Bell, been doing well on similar tracks to New Hampshire this year. I mean, he won at Phoenix, which is also like a high-ish speed short track with a flat corner. Dominated that race towards the end. Dominated Gateway, which is very similar to New Hampshire. Long straightaways, high braking, flat corners. It's almost identical. Race is very similar to it. Christopher Bell had an absolute rocket ship there. So Both of those tracks, I'd assume he'd be very good in New Hampshire too, just with setup and stuff. Toyota's been very good at short tracks this year generally. Bell will also have experience going into the race as he's racing in the Xfinity race on Saturday as well. I think I looked at Christopher Bell on winner bets for the Xfinity race. I saw it in minus money for an outright winner bet. It was crazy. So Bell, very good here. He's never lost in the Xfinity Series race. If you're being offered at plus money, like plus 110 or plus 120 for a Bell win in the Xfinity race on Saturday, I'd take that, honestly. I mean, he's never lost at New Hampshire in the Xfinity Series, but the experience on Saturday will definitely help him on Sunday when he races Cup. We're taking him at plus 450, outright winner. So, don't usually do those, but we're taking one this week. Okay, so something I'm pretty confident about, Joey Logano top 5. At the time of this recording, I got him at plus 130 on FanDuel. So, look, I want to take a Penske driver this weekend because, I mean, as Sean mentioned in the Femboy Hooters interview part of the episode, Team Penske has been very good on these flat tracks and short tracks this year. They were good in Phoenix. They were even good in Richmond, which has some banking. They won at North Wilkesboro with Logano. They won at Gateway with Cindric. They won at Iowa with Ryan Blaney. These are all like high-speed short tracks. So I like Team Penske on these flatter tracks. I mean, you got Wilkesboro and Gateway, which are kind of sort of flat, not very high banking. And they won both of those. So, look, Blaney is not being offered at good odds because of his win this past week at Iowa. The books aren't giving us much to work with Ryan Blaney. But if you want, BetMGM has Blaney for a top 5 at even money. You could definitely put some money down on that if you want. But we're going to stick with Logano at higher plus money. He's plus 130. So you win. You bet $10, you win 13. That's basically how it works. Say 1.3 to 1. Logano, he needs a good finish. Currently sitting behind the cut line, I believe 6 points behind Bubba Wallace. He's desperate for some points. He's desperate for a good finish. He's won twice at New Hampshire. It's his home track. He's finished second, I believe, last year. And not including the 3 times where he had issues, his worst finish in the last 10 years at New Hampshire is 11th. Not including those 3 times that he had issues, as I'd mentioned. So, last 4 races, he's finished top 5 in 3 of them, with the one exception being where he was running the top 5 with 30 to go, but was running out of fuel and had to pit and ended up 24th. So, Logano top 5. You could take Blaney, but Logano's being offered at better odds. So, I'm going to stick with Joey Logano for a top 5. Yeah, I'm pretty confident in that. I think that is going to be our lock-in bet of the week. Wallace, top 10. I'm pretty confident in that too. Thing is, Bubba Wallace's team has just 23-11 racing in general. Actually, Reddick has been putting together some good finishes towards the end. The 23 team, not nearly as much. So, Logano, I'm confident in his strategy. I'm confident in the driver. I'm confident in the car. So, we're going to run with that. And now for the second ever Stemp Matchup Parlay. This is our second episode doing betting on the podcast. So, we're going to go with our matchup parlay. Plus 371 on DraftKings Sportsbook. It's a 3-legger. We got Christopher Bell over Martin Truex Jr. in a head-to-head matchup. And honestly, give me Bell over Truex pretty much any day at New Hampshire. 9 out of 10 times, he'll come out the winner. I also just think Truex is struggling to finish races. That definitely plays a factor. And Christopher Bell's already got a couple wins this season. He's just going for more playoff points. I'd take him over Martin Truex Jr. Second leg, we're going Ryan Blaney over Brad Keselowski. Like I said before, Penske's going to be fast here. I expect them to put both their cars in the top 5. RFK's fast. Brad Keselowski won here in 2021, I believe it was. But Blaney's got momentum coming off a win at Iowa, and he's got the better car. So, taking Blaney over Keselowski. Second leg. Third leg, we're going to do Denny Hamlin over Chase Elliott. So, besides a second-place finish in 2022, Chase Elliott's stats at New Hampshire don't really stand out that much to me. Matchup-wise, I think Denny Hamlin's in a much more favorable position because Hamlin, on the other hand, 3-time winner at New Hampshire. He has 6 runner-up finishes at the track, plus the fact that he's one of the best short track races in the Cup Series. Toyotas have been very good at New Hampshire in the next-gen era in general. So we're going to run with Denny Hamlin. So 3-leg parlay, as I mentioned, plus 371 on DraftKings. As I mentioned, those could change over the next couple days. Bell over Truex, Blaney over Keselowski, Hamlin over Elliott. That is our Stemp Matchup Parlay. And that is going to conclude our betting section of the episode. All right, and with that concludes the end of episode 11 of the Dank NASCAR download. Once again, to everybody who's listening, appreciate you, appreciate the support, appreciate all the people who follow me. If you don't, it's at Dank_NASCAR memes on Instagram. I also got a Twitter account, or X account, whatever they call it now. Dank_NASCAR. Yeah, pretty much all my socials to date. And of course, please make sure to follow, turn on notifications, and rate the podcast if you're listening to it on Spotify or whatever podcast platform you listen to. And once again, I just want to give a huge shout out to Normie, Chan, DeMeo, Steven, and Sean for joining on the podcast and creating a fun discussion. We're about at an hour and a half right now, so this is a bit longer than I anticipated, but it's good. We had a nice conversation about what's been going on in the Cup Series as of late. And yeah, so if you guys are listening, thank you so much for coming on. And to be honest, I might want to have more guests more often, so that's something we could look forward to. But in the meantime, just gonna sign off for now. Thank you guys so much for tuning in, and I will see y'all soon. We out.